Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Markets awaiting for Jackson Hole for possible rate guidance analysis. http ntvforex.com News ID 271A43826202010 2641 AM Notes Observations Focus Turning to upcoming FOMC Symposium at Jackson Hole. Economic worries grow markets to look for clues on the future path of interest rates. China said to expect to purchase a record amount of soybeans from U.S. in 2020. Asia-Japan government expected to extend its job subsidy program until end of year. Japan PM Abe said to plan to hold news conference on Friday, will likely address questions about his health. RBNZ Assistant Gov Hawksby reiterates stance of a lot of work to do to achieve policy targets, looking to use balance sheet more. U.S. accused Vietnam of undervaluing the VND currency. Dong note U.S. Treasury Department has yet to issue its semi-annual currency report. Coronavirus total global cases 23,821,321 1.0% DD total deaths 18.2k 0.8% DD Europe Germany ruling coalition agrees to extend coronavirus relief for economy. To extend wage support program through end of 2021, doubling duration to 24 months, and suspend insolvency through end of 2020. America's White House advisor Kudlow there were no plans to cut payroll taxes. China was implementing Phase 1 trade deal and agreement was still going forward. Fed discount rate minutes. All 12 regional Fed bank boards support maintaining the discount rate. Fed's bark in non-voter. Hawk reiterates path of the economy depends on the virus. Energy weekly API crude oil inventories 4.5 MV 4.3 M. Prior NHC Hurricane Laura continued to strengthen, expected to be major hurricane at landfall along NW Gulf of Mexico coast. NBSP speakers fixed income FX commodities Iratum equities indices. STOXX 600% at FTSE 0.04% at 6,034.72. DAX 0.60% at 13,139.30, CAC 40 0.37% at 5,026.68, IBEX 35 0.18% at 7,121.00, FTSE MIB 0.36% at 20,102.50, SME 0.46% at 10,278.39, S&P 500 futures 0.05%. Market focal points. Key themes. European indices open lower across the board but quickly turned around to trade mostly higher later in the session. Better performing sectors include technology and healthcare, materials and energy sectors. Among underperformers, Germany agrees to extend policies to support jobs. Italian regulators allow network sales to KKR. UK CMA says Breedon Chemex deal raises competition concerns. Focus on tomorrow's Jackson Hole Symposium. Earnings expected in the upcoming U.S. session include National Bank of Canada and Dick's Sporting Goods. NBSP Equities Financials. Provident Financial PFG.UK 15% earnings. Around Town Property Holdings AT1.DE 7% earnings. Healthcare Bavarian Nordic BV3.DE 3% earnings. HIQ International HIQ.SE 26% offer. Stata Artni Imitel SAZ.DE 1% earnings. Novartis Noven.CH 1% trial results. Ambu AMBUB.DK 13% earnings. Technology SAP SAP.DE 1% Salesforce earnings. NBSP speakers. ECB member Kazimir Slovakia environment appears to be under our baseline scenario. Not obliged to use the whole pandemic bond program envelope. Note PEP is A1.35T. Germany. Finmin Scholz commented on extension of coronavirus relief measures. Noted that wage support extension would cost A10 be in line with speculation. Reiterated stance that domestic economy was performing better than expected. France PM Castex stated that the country's stimulus plan to be presented on Thursday, September 3, and no plans to increase taxes. Germany said to have extended coronavirus travel warnings outside of Europe by 2 weeks until September 14. Iceland's central bank's Banki policy statement saw 2020 GDP contraction of 7.0% with 10% unemployment rate. forecasted 2020 CPI at 3.0% and noted that medium and long-term inflation expectations were broadly unchanged. Hungary Debt Agency AKK announced changes to funding plan to fund wider deficit with retail and local issuance as the 2020 cash deficit could reach $3.6 trillion. Turkey President Erdogan stated that would take what we deserve from Aegean, Black Seas, and East Mediterranean. France Armed Forces Ministry to hold joint military exercises in East Mediterranean between August 26–28 with France, Italy, Greece and Cyprus. China said to expect to purchase a record amount of soybeans from U.S. in 2020. China government could restrict drug exports to the U.S. if the Trump administration was to cut China's access to semiconductors. NBSP currencies fixed income quiet EU session as markets appeared to focus turning to upcoming FOMC symposium at Jackson Hole. As economic worries mount, traders to look for clues on the future path of interest rates from the various central banks speak at the symposium. EUR/USD lower by 0.1% and holding above the 1.18 level in dull trade. Dealers noted that mounting COVID-19 infection cases in Europe outing a lid on the upside for the time being. GBP/USD steady at 1.3160 area. USD JPY lower by 0.2% with focus on Japan's PM Abe planned press conference on Friday, August 28. Abe's recent trips to the hospital for testing had prompted speculation that PM Abe had a chronic illness and could step down from his position. NBSP economic data 5 Finland July preliminary retail sales volume YY 4.1% v 7.1% prior. DK Denmark July retail sales 1.0% v 1.5% prior. YY 6.7% v 6.5% prior. No Norway June AKU unemployment rate 5.2% v 4.7%. EFR France OG consumer confidence 94 v 94. ECH Swiss OG credit Swiss expectations survey 45.6 v 42.4 prior. ZA South Africa July CPI 1.3% v 1.2%. EYY 3.2% v 3.0%. EZA South Africa July CPI core 0.7% v 0.5%. EYY 3.2% v 3.0%. EHK Hong Kong July trade balance 29.8 billion Hong Kong dollars v 20.8 b. Exports YY 3.0% v 3.5%. E imports YY 3.4% v 6.1%. E is Iceland Central Bank Sydbanki left 7-day term deposit rate unchanged at 1.00%. Fixed income issuance in India sold total INR 350B versus INR 350B indicated in 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month bills. 5 Finland Debt Agency opened book to sell euro-denominated 10-year RFGB bond viaduct syndicate guidance seen 4 bps to mid swaps. SE Sweden sold total 5.0 billion Swedish kronor versus 5.0 billion Swedish kronor indicated in 2023 and 2026 bonds. No Norway sold 2.0 billion Norwegian kroner versus 2.0 billion Norwegian kroner target in 2.0% May 2023. Bonds average yield 0.27% v 0.00% prior. Bid to cover 2.62x v 2.48x prior. IT Italy Debt Agency Tesoro sold a 3.0b versus a 2.53.0b indicated range in 0.0% May 2022. CDZ average yield 0.014% v 0.031% prior. Bid to cover 1.56x v 1.66x prior. UK DMO sold a 2.75b in 0.375% October 2030. Gilts average yield 0.323% v 0.138% prior. Bid to cover 2.68x v 2.41x prior. Tail 0.2 bps v 0.3 bps prior. NBSP looking ahead. BR Brazil July total federal debt BRL no ESTV 4.390 T prior. CO Colombia July industrial confidence no ESTV 20.8. Prior retail confidence no ESTV 3 prior. 0530 to Germany to sell a 3.5b in 0.00% May 2035 Bunds 0530 PT Portugal Debt Agency IGCP to sell a 1.01.25b in 2027 and 2030 OT Bonds 0530 EU ECB allotment in 3-month LTRO tender 0530 ZA South Africa announces details of next bond auction held on Tuesdays 0600 CZ Czech Republic to sell bonds 0645 US daily LIBOR fixing 0700 US MBA mortgage applications WE August 21 no ESTV 3.3% prior 0700 MX Mexico Q2 final GDP QQ 17.2% EV 17.3% prelim YY 18.8%. EV 18.9% prelim GDP nominal YY no ESTV 1.6% prior 0700 MX Mexico June IGAE Economic Activity Index monthly GDP 9.5% EV 2.6% prior YY 13.8% EV 22.7% prior 0700 BR Brazil AUG FGV construction costs no ESTV 0.8% prior 0700 RU Russia to sell OFZ bonds 0730 to ECBS Schnabel Germany 0800 UK Daily Baltic Dry Bulk Index 0830 US July Preliminary Durable Goods Orders 4.5% EV 7.6% prior Durables X Transportation 1.9% EV 3.6% prior Capital Goods Orders Non-Defense X Aircraft 1.7% EV 3.4% prior Capital Goods Shipments Non-Defense X Aircraft 1.8% EV 3.3% prior 10:30 US Weekly Dow Oil Inventories 11:30 US Treasury to sell 2-year FRN 12:00 UK Bo Haldane Chief Economist 12:00 CA Canada to sell 10-year bonds 13:00 MX Mexico Central Bank Banxico Quarterly Inflation Report 13:00 US Treasury to sell new 5-year note 20:00 KR Bank of Korea Bok interest rate decision expected to leave 7-day repo rate unchanged at 0.50% 21:30 Australia Q2 private capital expenditure 8.2% EV 1.6%. Prior 21:30 CN China July industrial profits YY no ESTV 11.5% prior 23:35 JP Japan to sell 2-year JGB bonds. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors.